INUYASHA was one of the flagship animes of the 2000s, but people seemed unsure at times, even at that time, what to make of it. It has been rumored that even if it was a kids' show or for adults, the Cartoon Network could never agree. As the years have passed, with modern sensitivities, certain aspects of the show seem even more questionable. Today, in the INUYASHA franchise, we will look at things that might not have aged gracefully, especially for modern viewers. And remember, for those who have not finished the series, there might be spoilers, especially the ending. Let's say your daughter decides to leave school, go to a far-off place, live in dangerous situations with some complete strangers, including a boy she's interested in, and risk her life. It wouldn't make most parents too happy about this. Compare this to the mother and grandfather of Kagome, who are directly encouraging Kagome to go on her adventures. On the one hand, Kagome at least tries to maintain her education, at least at first, and according to Tefugu, the Japanese school system actually does not fail students technically, since more emphasis is placed on entrance exams, so the truancy of Kagome would not be as problematic as if she were from another country. Still, you would think that even the school would be suspicious of all the ailments of Kagome. Kagome probably still cares about her family despite what was said above, and her family probably likes her. They might be alright with the yokai trying to eat her or the evil witches stealing her soul every week, but at least they seem ready to feed her, so that's it. The ending, however, in which Kagome decides to remain permanently in the feudal era, means that she will never see her old, or future technically, family or friends again. While true love expects some sacrifice, asking for it seems pretty cruel, and she seems blindly okay with it, particularly for a modern girl. A certain double standard is one aspect of the Koga Kagome INUYASHA love triangle of sorts that didn't age well. Whenever Koga shows an interest in Kagome and INUYASHA gets jealous, it is quick for supporting characters to act like he's an idiot and sympathize with Kagome to get mad at him. Compare this to the various times when Kagome, even before she actually had a relationship with INUYASHA herself, also gets mad at INUYASHA for his past relationship with Kikyo. The side characters, once again, usually side with her over INUYASHA. It isn't completely unfounded, in all fairness. Most of Kagome's friends do not necessarily think that Kagome actually has any interest in Koga and simply brush off the jealousy of INUYASHA as petty, while the backstory of the show is made up of INUYASHA and Kikyo's history. But always being sympathetic to Kagome and always being treated as an idiot to INUYASHA, even before they were arguably even a couple, may seem a little unfair. Differences in age are not always a deal breaker, but a 200-year-old boy and a teenage girl raise a lot of questions together. You can argue that INUYASHA is a teenager's yokai equivalent, but that is just the tip of the iceberg. INUYASHA will age slower than a mortal, thanks to his yokai heritage, and will likely see Kagome age and rot before his very eyes. His desire to become a complete human being for Kikyo may even indicate that he is partially aware of this problem, but this is never brought up in the end. Koga had ordered his wolf pack to kill people, Sessamaru had probably had blood on his hands for centuries, and Kikyo survived by feasting on the souls of dead women. For the sake of friendship, which is kind of unsettling, the main cast tends to either forgive or outright overlook this behavior. Of course, Kikyo never asked to be brought back as a soul-eating clay doll, and it's not clear whether she's going to kill those souls outright or just imprison them, but you'd think her victims would be more concerned. In the manga, this was more of a problem than in the anime, where female characters were often drawn with completely exposed breasts. This was the case with both demons, like Mistress Centipede and Nothing Woman, as well as with some of the human characters, like Kagome, a teenage human being. And while in the anime, Kagome's bare breasts are never shown, bathing scenes are still very common. The desire of Moroku to have a child is not entirely unsympathetic, given that his curse might claim his life before his time, but the manner in which he goes around this, acting like a pervert, did not age well exactly. It would be something you would expect from one of the villains of a modern story, not one of the heroes, let alone her love interest, the way he gropes and peeks at poor Sango every chance he gets. At the very least, modern shows would not be expected to treat a woman repeatedly as a joke if touched inappropriately. Sango is usually quick to slap or throw something heavy at Moroku during a conflict, and Kagame is willing to inflict pain on INUYASHA as well. When dealing with romantic interests, this is not always the case. INUYASHA is not above giving a good punch to Shippo, who may or may not be a child. Yakai ages are tricky. Sure, there are times when this is done in self-defense, especially when Sango is dealing with Moroku, but as a knee-jerk reaction, this happens too often. Even if a misunderstanding is clearly going on, the characters are a bit too eager to beat up their own friends. Thanks to those magical beads around his neck, by the simple command, "Asawari," or "sit boy," Kagame can always place INUYASHA in his place. From a modern perspective, her dependence on this spell can come off as pretty abusive. In fact, Kagame even tricks INUYASHA into pointing the beads back on in the third movie, after he's finally liberated from that. It's kind of disturbing. Even if it's not a canon, arguably. Not every example is the same in all fairness. Kagame had ordered INUYASHA to sit out of self-defense many times, by complete accident, and there were even a few times when she probably saved his life by doing so. Still, after an argument or due to a misunderstanding, the few times she says it, it comes off as downright abusive. Even the most devoted fans of the show seem willing to admit that the series went on for too long as it had to be, with fans often asking online for unfilled episode lists, whether it's GameFAQ or Reddit. It's very telling that, thanks to the final act spin-off, the original anime ran out of episodes to actually finish the story, only being able to adapt the resolution of the manga.